Sometimes we believe that transformation only comes through massive effort or dramatic action. But the truth is, real change often begins with the smallest steps. Tiny, consistent habits, like waking up a bit earlier, drinking more water, or writing down your goals, may seem insignificant today, but over time, they compound into powerful results. These micro-changes shape your mindset, your actions, and ultimately your destiny. This speech is a reminder that you don't need to change everything at once. Start small, stay consistent, and watch your life evolve in ways you never imagined. Big change begins with small habits. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly become successful, confident, or fulfilled. It doesn't happen all at once. It's not a moment. It's a process. We often look at people who have achieved greatness and assume they made one bold move. But what we don't see is the quiet consistency behind their success. The small choices they made, daily, repeatedly, with discipline. The truth is, change doesn't require you to flip your life upside down. It only requires you to shift slightly. 1%. Every day. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. Read one page of a book. Smile more. Listen deeply. Reflect every night for 5 minutes. These actions are not dramatic, but they are intentional. And intention is everything, because the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be better than yesterday. The people who build extraordinary lives are the ones who show up when no one is watching, to do the small things that matter. We often get caught up in the excitement of change. We make bold declarations, set huge goals, and throw ourselves into action with intense energy. For a day or a week, we go all in, waking up at 5 a.m., exercising for hours, reading entire books in one sitting, or working tirelessly on a new idea. But then reality sets in. Life gets busy, motivation fades, and all that intensity burns out. The result? We fall back into old patterns, discouraged and disappointed. The reason is simple. Intensity is flashy, but it's not sustainable. What truly transforms a person's life is consistency. Consistency is quiet. It's not about big bursts of effort, but rather small, deliberate actions repeated over time. It's the decision to show up even when it's inconvenient, even when you don't feel like it. A person who works out for 15 minutes every day for a year will likely see more progress than someone who hits the gym hard for 2 weeks and then quits. A writer who writes 300 words a day will complete more books than the one who writes 10,000 words once and never returns. Success doesn't come from how intensely you start. It comes from how consistently you continue. When you focus on consistency, you shift your mindset from results to routine. You begin to trust the process instead of chasing perfection, and that's powerful. Because consistency is what builds momentum. Each small step adds up. Over time, those steps compound into real change. In your habits, your mindset, and your outcomes. But consistency also requires patience. In a world that praises instant results and overnight success, the idea of slow, steady progress feels foreign. Yet that's where true growth lives, not in the moment of explosion, but in the daily grind. It's brushing your teeth every night, not just once when they hurt. It's saying "I love you" to your partner every day, not just on anniversaries. It's showing up for your goals with quiet dedication, even when there's no applause. Consistency also builds trust, both with yourself and with others. When you're consistent, you prove to yourself that you can be relied upon, that you keep your promises, that you're the kind of person who follows through. That self-trust becomes the foundation for confidence and resilience. So while intensity may feel inspiring, it's fleeting. It comes and goes. But consistency, slow, steady, and committed, that's what builds the life you actually want. Not in a single day, not in a single effort, but through every small choice you make, again and again. Every decision you make, no matter how small, is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Most people underestimate the power of tiny actions because they don't create immediate results. But the truth is, real transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's built gradually through repeated behavior. Each small action you take, when done consistently, begins to shape your beliefs, your values, and ultimately your identity. When you decide to go for a short walk instead of scrolling on your phone, you're not just burning calories. You're telling yourself that you care about your health. Your health. When you choose to speak kindly instead of reacting in anger, you're building the identity of someone who values patience and emotional intelligence. These actions, though seemingly insignificant in the moment, start to rewrite the story you tell yourself about who you are. Our habits are not just what we do. They're reflections of who we believe we are. When someone begins writing every morning, even just a few lines, they start to believe they are a writer. When someone begins saving a small portion of their income consistently, they begin to believe they are financially responsible. The repetition of these small actions reinforces a self-image that aligns with the behaviors, and that self-image becomes powerful motivation to continue. Long-term identity shifts are not built on grand gestures, but on the subtle, quiet actions repeated over time. It's easy to look at successful people and think they're born with discipline, talent, or luck. But more often, they simply started by doing something small and stuck with it. Their identity grew around their actions, not the other way around. When people try to change, they often focus on outcomes: losing weight, earning more, being happier. But the more effective approach is to focus on identity. Ask yourself, what kind of person would achieve these results? Then align your actions with that identity. If you want to become fit, ask, what does a healthy person do? Then do what they do, even if it's just choosing a glass of water over soda. These small actions will begin to shift how you see yourself. The brain takes cues from your behavior. It watches what you do repeatedly and starts to accept it as truth. That's why habits matter so much. They don't just affect your schedule, they affect your self-perception. Over time, your habits shape your identity, and your identity drives your behavior. It becomes a cycle, one that can either lift you up or hold you back. So never dismiss the power of small actions. They're not just tasks, they're affirmations of the person you're becoming. Each step you take is a vote cast for the future version of yourself. And when those small actions are chosen wisely and repeated often, they build a new identity, one that lasts. In the pursuit of growth, we often feel the urge to make massive changes. We set big goals, draw up detailed plans, and promise ourselves we'll overhaul everything at once. But this approach, while exciting in the beginning, rarely lasts. Life gets in the way, motivation fades, and we fall back into old habits. The reason is simple. Drastic change is hard to maintain. That's where micro changes come in. Small, manageable adjustments that are not only easier to stick to, but far more sustainable in the long run. Micro changes work because they don't overwhelm the brain. When a task feels too big, our minds resist it. But when something feels easy and achievable, we're more likely to follow through. For example, instead of promising to meditate for 30 minutes every day, starting with just 1 minute can build the habit without resistance. Over time, that 1 minute naturally grows. What matters is not the size of the step, but the consistency with which it's taken. These small shifts are less intimidating and allow us to adapt gradually. If you try to change everything at once, you're likely to burn out. But if you adjust just one behavior at a time, your brain learns to adapt. Whether it's choosing water over soda, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, or turning off screens 10 minutes earlier each night, these subtle changes feel so simple that they become part of your routine without disruption. The sustainability of micro changes also lies in their ability to fit into daily life without requiring major effort. You don't need a perfect environment or extra hours in your day. All you need is intention and commitment to take small actions repeatedly. This is why people who adopt micro changes tend to stick with them longer. They don't feel like they're sacrificing everything or pushing against their natural rhythm. Micro changes also give us constant wins. Each time we follow through on a small action, we experience a sense of progress. That feeling of achievement fuels motivation. Instead of chasing an end goal that might take months or years to reach, we start to find joy in the process. Each small success reinforces the habit and encourages us to continue. It builds momentum, which over time leads to significant transformation. What makes these tiny shifts powerful is their cumulative effect. A 1% improvement each day may seem like nothing, but over the course of a year, it results in a major leap forward. Just as a small leak can sink a big ship, a small daily effort can eventually change the course of your life. You don't have to go faster, you just have to keep going. Micro changes may feel slow, but they are the most realistic and sustainable way to evolve. They respect your current limits while stretching you toward growth. They don't demand perfection, only presence. Only presence. And over time, they create a lifestyle, not just a phase. The results we experience in life rarely happen by accident. They are often a direct reflection of the choices we make and the habits we build. Living with intention means doing things on purpose, with awareness and clarity. With awareness and clarity. When we form habits based on that level of intention, the outcomes we create align closely with our goals, values, and desires. This is the power of intentional habits. They guide your energy toward meaningful results, not just random activity. Most people live in reaction mode. They wake up, check their phones, rush through their mornings, and let the day happen. There's no clear sense of direction or purpose behind their actions. As a result, their habits are automatic, often driven by comfort, convenience, or impulse. And so the results they get, inconsistent or disappointing. But when you live with intention, everything changes. You begin to choose habits not just because they're easy or familiar, but because they move you closer to who you want to become. Intentional habits start with awareness. You take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what kind of life do I want to build? Who do I want to be in 5 years? What matters most to me? Once you have that clarity, you can begin to align your daily actions with that vision. If health matters to you, you create a habit of preparing nourishing meals. If deep relationships matter, you create a habit of meaningful conversations. If growth matters, you create a habit of reading or learning something every day. These habits may seem small in the moment, but they hold power because they are rooted in purpose. They are not accidental. They are deliberate. And that intention behind them gives them strength and meaning. You are no longer drifting. You are directing. You are shaping your day rather than being shaped by it. Intentional habits also lead to intentional results because they train your brain to focus on what's important. You begin to filter out distractions and noise. You spend less time on things that don't align with your values. This focus creates clarity, and clarity sharpens your decisions. Over time, those decisions compound into the life you actually want, one filled with purpose, fulfillment, and achievement. Another benefit is that intentional habits build confidence. When you know why you're doing something, it's easier to stay committed. You're not relying on motivation or mood. You're anchored in your purpose. Each time you follow through on an intentional habit, you reinforce the belief that you are in control of your life. That self-trust becomes the fuel that drives even greater results. Intentionality turns routine into ritual. It transforms simple actions into acts of self-respect. And when your habits carry meaning, your results carry impact. They are no longer random. They are earned, one conscious step at a time. Because when your habits are built with intention, the life you create is, too. Discipline isn't something that's built during big dramatic events. It's not created in front of an audience or during moments of recognition. Discipline is forged in the quiet, unseen corners of life. In the early mornings when you get out of bed, even though no one would know if you didn't. In the evenings when you choose to reflect instead of distract yourself. And in those small decisions that seem insignificant but speak volumes about your commitment. The unnoticed moments, the ones no one claps for, are where true discipline is born. Most people associate discipline with control or restriction, but it's not about punishment. It's about devotion. Devotion. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. And the more you practice this in the small, everyday choices, the stronger your discipline becomes. It's easy to act motivated when things are exciting or when you're being praised. But the test of discipline is how you act when there's no reward, no spotlight, and no audience. The reason discipline is built in the unnoticed moments is because those are the moments that define your character. No one sees you choosing to stay focused while others procrastinate. No one celebrates when you show up to practice, stick to your routine, or make the responsible choice. But those invisible decisions compound over time. They shape your habits, your mindset, and ultimately your future. The future. You don't become disciplined by making one big decision. You become disciplined by making thousands of small ones, consistently. Every time you say yes to the right thing and no to the easy way out, you strengthen your inner resolve. And because these moments often feel ordinary, they're easy to dismiss. But discipline doesn't need applause. It needs consistency. Whether it's waking up early, sticking to your budget, keeping your word, or finishing the work even when you're tired. These choices matter. Over time, they build a mental toughness that allows you to stay grounded, even when life throws challenges your way. Discipline, built in the quiet moments, also teaches you humility. It's not about proving something to the world. It's about proving something to yourself. It teaches you that real success is not about one big win, but about staying committed long after the excitement fades. You become someone who shows up, who follows through, and who honors their own word. Not for recognition, but for self-respect. These unnoticed moments may not seem significant today. No one may be watching. But in the long run, these are the very moments that separate those who simply dream from those who achieve. Because when discipline becomes part of your identity, when it's wired into your smallest choices, it becomes unshakable. And that kind of discipline can carry you through anything. Every day presents a simple but powerful opportunity, the chance to get better.
Hey.
It doesn't matter where you were yesterday, what mistakes you made, or how far you still have to go. What matters is the choice you make today. Improvement is not a one-time decision or a dramatic leap. It is a quiet, daily choice. A choice to show up, to try again, to do something, anything that moves you a little closer to who you want to be. Most people wait for the perfect time to start improving. They wait for motivation, the right mood, or a new week to begin. But the truth is, you don't need the perfect moment. You just need a willingness to begin, right now. Growth doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing. And the beauty of small daily improvement is that it doesn't have to be grand to be effective. Reading one page, taking one walk, learning one new idea, or simply being 1% more patient is enough. The point is to choose growth over comfort, day after day. Improvement isn't always about adding more. Sometimes it's about removing a bad habit, a limiting belief, a distraction. And those choices often don't feel exciting in the moment. In fact, they may feel boring, repetitive, or even frustrating. But over time, they build something incredible. Momentum. The more often you make the choice to improve, even in the smallest ways, the more that choice becomes automatic. What once required effort becomes part of your identity. Choosing to improve daily also means being honest with yourself. It requires reflection. You begin to notice what's working and what's holding you back. And with that awareness comes responsibility. Because once you know better, the power is in your hands. You can no longer pretend to be a victim of your circumstances. Improvement gives you ownership of your life. Inward. It reminds you that while you can't always control what happens, you can always control how you respond. The path of daily improvement is not linear. Some days will feel like progress. Others may feel like setbacks. But every day counts, even the hard ones. Because the act of choosing to grow, even when it's tough, is itself a form of progress. It shows resilience, commitment, and purpose. The people who improve over time are not necessarily the most talented or lucky. They're the ones who keep choosing growth again and again. Ultimately, improvement is not about perfection. It's about direction. It's about waking up each morning and asking yourself, well, what's one thing I can do today to move forward? That question, asked daily, transforms your mindset. It rewires your habits. It changes your life. Because when you treat improvement as a daily choice rather than a distant goal, you realize that success is not some far-off destination. It's something you build every single day. So if you're waiting for the right time to change your life, stop. The right time is today. Not with massive steps, but with small intentional ones. Because the truth is, greatness isn't built in a single moment. It's built in hundreds of quiet choices repeated over time when no one is watching. Choose better, not bigger. Be consistent, not perfect. Aber for it. And trust that these small habits, the ones you start today, will become the foundation of something extraordinary. The change you're looking for is already within you. All it takes is one small step. Repeat it every day. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Remember, lasting transformation doesn't come from massive leaps. It comes from the small intentional steps you choose to take every single day. Your habits are shaping your future, even when no one is watching. So don't underestimate the power of consistency, intention, and tiny progress. Good plan. Keep showing up, keep moving forward, and trust the process. Because in the end, it's not about being perfect, it's about being better than yesterday. Start small, stay committed, and let those small habits lead you to a life of big change.